Today, we are going to learn the secret connection between sleep, longevity, and your hormones with double board certified family, functional, and regenerative medicine expert, Dr. Farah Sultan, MD. Welcome to C60 Health Connections, where we meet with leading experts who can help you elevate performance in all aspects of your life. Dr. Farah Sultan is with us today. She is a medical doctor, double board certified in family medicine, functional, and regenerative medicine. She has trained and worked in 3 continents, in India, the UK, and the US. She is the medical director and CEO of Vitology Wellness and Med Spa in Birmingham, Alabama, and she is also the founder of the Mandala Method. She is an international award-winning speaker and an expert in sleep and hormone balance, and has helped thousands of women regain their sleep, energy, and youthfulness without the use of addictive prescription medications. My name is Jessica McNaughton, and I am the CEO at shopc60.com and C60 Purple Power. Now, before we get started, any statements, products, or topics discussed today have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Anything that we discuss on this show today is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease. So with that, we'll get started. Farah, so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Jess, for having me on. I'm so excited to be here today.
This is great. Will you just give our audience a little bit of insight into your background and kind of what's transpired in your life that helped you move from, traditional medicine into functional and regenerative medicine? Because as I understand it, it was quite a pivot for you.
That's right. And I think we all have a story to tell. And mine is that I grew up in India and I always wanted to go to med school, was one of the first in my family to become a doctor. But during my training in med school, I had experienced infections. We went to rural India and including parasitic infections. And fast forward when I was in residency in Texas, and in my last year, I was pregnant and went through an emergency C-section when I had my baby. It kind of really turned my health around. After that emergency C-section, I found that my health really left me. I was tired. I was losing my hair. I was gaining weight. I had no sex drive and just couldn't figure out what was going on. My tummy would be upset every day. And of course, I sought help with my doctors, didn't get the answers. And even through all these years of medical training, I found I wasn't equipped to even help my own self with my health issues. And it was much later that I discovered functional medicine, and really it changed my life. I found out I had gut infections, I had Hashimoto's, IBS, infections, and I was able to get to those root causes, and with the help of mentors and teachers turned my health around. And that's what led me into really diving deeper into hormonal health and gut health, the brain health, the connection with sleep, because I had myself suffered with those and found that I didn't have the tools to help my own patients and clients. And that's why I went and got the training I needed, because they don't teach us this in med school. And since then, I have found it transformative, not only for myself and my family, but really for this whole community that I've built with patients, clients, and like-minded practitioners.
That's awesome. The work that you're doing is so important, and it's so necessary right now. So, will you tell us a little bit about why are so many people today experiencing sleeplessness? What is going on? Why is it so hard to sleep right now?
So, as you know, we spend 1/3 of our lives in the act of sleeping. And one of the things is that sleep is highly underrated in terms of how we prioritize sleep. Our stress levels have significantly changed compared to, say, our ancestors, where the only stressors really came from day to day acquiring food and finding shelter and things of that nature. But as our daily stress levels at all ages, even our children are more stressed than we used to be when we were kids growing up. As we age, and there are many causes for stress, but also the toxins that we're exposed to are responsible for literally the robbing of our sleep. And then, of course, there are the devices. We are 24/7 on society. And so that has really led to a disruption of sleep. The invention of light bulbs, our ancestors had firelight and moonlight at night. They didn't have the flick of a switch that would disrupt your circadian rhythm. So there are many factors such as these that have led to loss of sleep, not necessarily what is termed as insomnia, but also just the kind of shrinkage of the amount of time that we're able to dedicate towards sleep.
You've covered so much there. What are some of your most kind of practical suggestions that people can start to implement immediately to help support a better quality of sleep?
So, simple things that can really make a difference. One, I would say, is sunlight and circadian rhythm. Even when we, say, in the winter months, may not be exposed to as many hours of sunlight, or if it's a dark, gloomy day or rainy day, even then, getting outside and having our retina exposed to normal daylight compared to artificial light can make a big difference in terms of our serotonin and melatonin levels that are secreted by the pineal gland, our third eye, and make a difference in the drive to sleep as well as the ease of sleeping when our melatonin rises at night, which is so highly photosensitive. The other, so exposure to light in the day, but at night, making sure that your room is completely dark. Even if you have a sliver of light, including moonlight or the street lamp, it could impair your melatonin levels. So that's something which we can all do. We can wear an eye mask. We can have shades on at night, and even put those pesky little green lights that are emanating from our devices. We could put a little sticker on those. The other thing is regularity in terms of your routine of when you go to bed and when you wake up in the morning. Your body and your brain likes that rhythm to be regular. So, for example, if on a weekend you wanted to binge on Netflix, then it's actually not serving you well in terms of your sleep. And because sleep is such a restorative function where you literally glean out and clean out the toxins using this lymphatic system in your brain, it's so important for retention of memories and to gather new information, to be more creative, that we prioritize sleep.
That's great. Thank you very much. So, will you help us understand what's the connection with sleeplessness or sleep loss and hormones?
So, hormones, all of them can play such a key role when it comes to our sleep. So, let me begin with, first of all, your female hormones. And women go through a lot of hormone changes, whether it's in puberty, whether it's during our childbearing years, or pre or perimenopause and postmenopause. So with these hormone changes, especially if there is an imbalance between our estrogen and progesterone, it can lead to insomnia or difficulty falling asleep, especially with progesterone, which is such a highly neuroprotective hormone. And I see so many women with also moodiness, irritability, poor sleep. That's because progesterone does play such an important role. And so measuring progesterone levels and even balancing it naturally can really help. Also, hormones that are anti-aging, like growth hormone, are secreted at night around 10 to 11 p.m. So if we are night owls, we're really losing out on that natural spurt of growth hormone, which again helps with building new muscle cells, helps with longevity, and so many other functions. So hormones like thyroid can play a big role. If your thyroid may not be totally subnormal, but if it isn't optimal, it can affect every aspect of your cellular function. And because sleep is tied in to longevity as well as preservation of and slowing down of cellular aging, that can play such a big role. And of course, the biggest one I would say is cortisol, the stress hormone. So stress hormone, if it is not in balance, can completely make you wired and tired. And even though you may be exhausted, you may be having a tough time falling asleep, but also staying asleep. And other than that, insulin plays a big role. So if your blood sugars aren't balanced, it will wake you up in the middle of the night. Sometimes you may want to grab a bite to eat if your blood sugar is too low. So high and low blood sugars both can be detrimental. And that's why having a normal blood sugar balance is so key to good sleep as well.
It sounds so simple and yet so complex at the same time. One of the things that I haven't heard before, this is new information for me, is this the growth hormone and your body restoring that between 10 and 11 p.m. So would you recommend, or do you recommend to your patients that they go to bed earlier, like try to get to bed around the 9 o'clock hour, so you can capture your body, or at least be able to support your body restoring the growth hormone?
For sure. I say at least try to be in bed by 10 o'clock. And I love having a bedtime routine. So you're winding down at least an hour or two prior to bedtime. One of the things I'm a huge proponent of is intermittent fasting, because it naturally improves autophagy, improves sleep, and improves your blood sugar balance and insulin resistance, as well as growth hormone levels. And so if you eat at least 2 to 3 hours prior to bedtime, you are setting yourself up for better hormone balance, unless you're diabetic and you're on medications that can lower your blood sugar, then you have to be careful with that. But yes, your growth hormone naturally spikes during those hours at night. And so I do love peptides, and peptides are a sequence of amino acids that resemble growth hormone, but may not have all the growth effects of growth hormone, like some of the side effects. And I do recommend taking them right at bedtime.
For those people in the audience listening who don't know what autophagy is, could you briefly explain what that is and what it means?
Sure. So our cells are equipped to kind of do a process of self-cleaning and self-elimination. So normally we are all bombarded with toxins, which can even alter our DNA and cause mutations, which could possibly even lead to cancerous cells. But our body is equipped with an inherent mechanism by which we can have our healthier cells sort of get rid of the unwanted, unhealthy cells and have the younger, healthier cells thrive and grow. So this process of self-cleaning and self-destruction of the unhealthy cells is autophagy, which is a great way for anti-aging, for longevity, but even prevention of cancer.
Some people recommend women and men participating in intermittent fasting at different with different methods and or at different times of the month. Can you just give us a little insight? Like, is it okay for women to do it all the time, or are there different times of the month that you should maybe do it or maybe not do it?
Yes. So intermittent fasting, there are different kinds. And for women, because hormones vary through the cycle, I don't recommend longer fasts, for example, during your cycle, and maybe just a minimum of 12 hours. I always say, listen to your body. If you have symptoms of hypoglycemia or you're super stressed out for any reason, then it's maybe not a good idea during those times to do a longer fast. So what are the types of fasts? So you can do, say, an overnight 12-hour fast. You could do a period of 15 to 16 hours, which is common and easy to do, where you're literally just skipping breakfast and eating in an 8-hour window and eating an early dinner. Many people do OMAD, which is one meal a day, and that works well, especially if you're working out and exercising and then breaking your fast, because it really helps your nutrients hone in for muscle growth and recovery. And then the other is to just do like and same thing with the OMAD, you can do a 24-hour fast. And some people do a fasting mimicking diet where you do limited calories and you do that for, say, 5 days out of the month. And then some people do a whole fast where they're just hydrating and drinking water for 3 days and up to 5 days. So everyone's different. Do what suits you best and listen to your body. If you're feeling bad, feeling stressed, your blood sugar is dropping too low, go ahead and eat something, but especially good fats, good fiber, and good proteins, as well as complex carbs.
Thank you. So you mentioned hormones can really impact a woman's ability to go to sleep. What about men? Are they also dealing with hormone imbalances and fluctuations that also impact their sleep?
Absolutely. So men in their late 30s too have a gradual decline in their testosterone levels. And when they are in balance, no matter what their age, it does play a huge role in their quality of sleep, their focus, their energy the next morning, and refreshing sleep. So even with sleep quality, what do I mean by that? So when we measure the different stages of sleep, we want to have the deep non-REM sleep as well as REM sleep where we dream. And that's when it's good for our memory and our emotional health as well.
Okay, great. How would somebody know if they have a hormone imbalance? What would some of the signs or indicators be that you might need to go get your hormones checked?
That's a great question. So, if you have brain fog, headaches, irritability and moodiness, difficulty sleeping, sometimes it can be skin symptoms like hair loss, hot flashes, just feeling really tired, gaining weight, especially in different areas of the body, having cravings, abnormal cycles, or if you're in menopause, having the hot flashes, as well as low libido. These are some of the most common signs that you have a hormone imbalance, and it's really a good idea to have your hormone levels checked.
What kind of tests specifically, if somebody just goes to a general practitioner, what kind of tests do they need to ask for? Or should they seek out a functional medicine expert or somebody like yourself who specializes in hormone balancing and anti-aging?
Yes, so a general practitioner will run tests, but unfortunately, what I have found is they don't do the whole gamut of tests that is needed to really understand what are some of the underlying hormonal imbalances that are causing some of your symptoms. And even if they do the testing, they may not interpret them in a way that is going to be able to resolve some of the symptoms that you might be experiencing. So I do recommend in-depth testing, and there are many modalities that can be used, and many functional practitioners are able to order those for you, and you can do them in the blood, but you can also conveniently do them at home using urine, like dried urine, as well as saliva. And those have been studied, they are reliable, they're reproducible, and they give us great information where we can act on it and really help restore hormone balance.
Thank you. Um, is there a connection between gut health and hormone balance?
Absolutely. So we have, as you know, just the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and then we have the brain gut immune axis. So the gut is the second brain, but these two systems are in crosstalk. The hormone, the gut, and the immune system, as well as brain health, really, all these systems are interconnected. So, just to give you an example, if you have constipation and you're not going to the bathroom every single day, then this can adversely impact your estrogen metabolism. Estrogen can be a double edged sword as a hormone. So, too little isn't good for you, and too much isn't good for you. How do you get too much? So, in your gut, if you have unfriendly microbiome and bacteria, if you've had your gallbladder removed, if you are eating a diet that is full of processed foods, what this can do is it can diminish the normal digestive juices that your stomach produces. And if there are unfriendly bacteria and if you're constipated, it recirculates these estrogens back into your bloodstream, raising their levels. And this can cause estrogen dominance. It can be a risk factor even down the road for things like breast cancer. So it's so important that our foundation, which is our gut health, is in place and everything's working well in order to support our hormone health as well, and in turn, our brain health.
What would you recommend somebody do as a simple a simple place to start to support gut health?
I would say eat a variety of foods, especially fiber, because fiber, especially soluble fiber, is a prebiotic. And fermented foods, if you tolerate them, because not everyone does, but fiber and good fats are the food and fodder for your friendly bacteria, and avoiding highly processed foods with colors and preservatives and high fructose corn syrup is a simple place to begin to get you to feed your friendly bacteria. I liken it to the rainforest. If it were, say, burnt by lightning to the ground, and if you were to plant saplings, it would take time for the flora and fauna to regrow into that Amazon rainforest. And you want a lush forest in your gut lining, not something that looks like it was burned down.
That's great. Well, so we're talking about gut health. What about parasites? How do parasites come into play with brain health, with gut health, with just overall general health and wellness? Will you give us a little bit of insight into what we should be on the lookout for with as it relates to parasites?
Sure. And I've had personal experience with it growing up in India, where we didn't have water that was filtered or safe all the time. And so parasites are pretty ubiquitous in a country like India, or at least were when I grew up there. And so, what are some of the symptoms? Obviously, gut symptoms like diarrhea, bloating, and fullness, as well as other symptoms, because these parasites can cause lung related symptoms like cough, general symptoms like fatigue due to anemia, as well as symptoms in the brain. In extreme cases, you can get seizures, and you can get it's almost like it mimics a tumor in the brain, because it's occupying space and causing problems. But again, depression, anxiety, brain fog, insomnia, these can be some of the other symptoms. Skin symptoms are common, like rashes, joint pains that are unexplained. So if you have unexplained symptoms like these, and they are hard to detect because they are not easily cultured in the regular tests. So definitely seek out a functional medicine doctor who can order specialized testing in order to detect it and also to treat it.
Specifically here in the US, where do you think the leading sources of parasites come from? Are these typically food-borne parasites, or are we getting them from other areas?
I see it from water, food, but also from our soil and from our pets. So if we are running bare feet in our backyard and we have pets, I see some of the common parasites that can occur in our pets as well as our kids and in adults as well. And so it's more common than one would imagine, because really these are present in our US based soil and water and food as well.
What are some of the easiest steps people can take in order to support better sleep and hormone balance?
So it starts really with your environment. They say our homes are sometimes more toxic than the nature outside. So I'm a big proponent of getting out in nature, grounding, getting in the sun, taking deep breaths to get that oxygen in, moving your body. So studies do correlate exercise with better sleep, better longevity, and better hormone balance. Your food that you eat is really medicine, and making sure that you know the source of your food, where it comes from. The less processed it is, the better it is. And especially avoiding processed sugar, and even when you eat meat, making sure it's grass-fed. So other than food, water is full of toxins. I'm a big proponent of filtering your water. And then we talked about light and also darkness and timeliness for bedtime. And then the other factor for good sleep is temperature, which is something we can all easily control. So our body temperature, our core temperature falls in at night, and that is conducive to better sleep and more restful sleep. So things like turning the thermostat down, opening the windows if it's cool outside, or taking a warm shower before going to bed actually causes vasodilatation, which actually drops the core body temperature by a few points, which again helps you sleep more easily. There are devices out there like the Chili Sleep mattress and others that are using water to cool down the mattress on which you're sleeping, and those work equally well as well. And some of the other things that then help is gut health, which we discussed. So having good friendly bacteria is conducive to good brain health, less inflammation in the brain, which then translates into better sleep. And then we produce more of our own natural melatonin, our natural Prozac, Xanax, Adderall in the lining of the neuronal networks in our gut, which then go in the brain where they combine with our hormones. So good gut health translates to good sleep and good brain health, but also good hormone health. And with hormones, when you eat clean, your hormones are better balanced. When you're not exposed to endocrine disruptors that come in our food, in our personal care products, in our cosmetics, then it can help us at least not get in these hormone disruptors into our body, even through our skin. And then doing the next level of testing and balancing can go a long way. But just getting your nutrients in, so eating, for example, broccoli and that whole family of cruciferous vegetables is great for hormone balance. Making sure you're getting your iodine and zinc for your thyroid balance, making sure you're eating adequate protein. All of these things can balance the major hormones, which are your sex hormones, your thyroid, cortisol, insulin, and growth hormone.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Farah, this has been so interesting. I really appreciate all of your practical, kind of common sense, no nonsense suggestions for how we can improve our sleep and balance our hormones and support longevity. Can you please tell us? I understand you have a free masterclass that you're going to offer to our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And we're going to put all of your contact information in our show notes, but we'll also pop it up here. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about your masterclass and what people can expect from that class.
This is a free masterclass on stress, health, hormones, and sleep. And we talk about the true causes of belly fat. You can just click on the link. It is just 30 minutes long. You can watch it. And then if you're interested in finding out more and delving deeper, then there's a link where you can click and schedule a free 15-minute call with my team to take it to the next level and work with me as well.
If people are ready to sign up with you today and they're, really interested in what you've had to share, can they just go ahead and sign up for that call now without going through that class, or do they have to go through the class first?
Yeah, they can sign up through my website, which is vitologywellnessandmedspa.com.
Great. Awesome. Well, will you tell us just a little bit more about what kind of services you offer at your wellness center and med spa?
So we offer a hormone balance. We have a program that encompasses total health, including sleep, hormone balance, gut health, and stress management. I use my mandala approach, which is the 5 pillars of health, which is nutrition that's personalized for you, helping support your gut and your liver, balancing your hormones, the mind-body balance, as well, which includes sleep and stress management and the fitness and movement. And the central mandala connecting these together is the education piece, because I believe in empowering you by educating you. And we also do anti-aging treatments and regenerative treatments. We do IV therapies, we do supplements, we do PRP, peptides, and then we have a med spa as well. And we have all kinds of treatments there as well, because it's inner beauty as well as the outer for living longer, but living healthier and happier.
That's wonderful. Do you work with both men and women, or primarily women?
Both.
Okay, great. Farah, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today, and really appreciate you stopping by and sharing some of your wisdom with our audience. If you guys appreciate today's content, please make sure you like it, subscribe it, and share it with a friend who might benefit from this information. And if you'd like to try C60, feel free to visit us at shopc60.com, and you can use the coupon code THE C60SHOW for 10% off your first order. Farah, thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. It was a pleasure.